Welcome everyone. Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we're unpacking the highly anticipated first chapter of a brand new fantasy story called Tapasya. Now, if you're a fan of deep, rich lore, ancient magic, and a narrative that completely hooks you right from the start with a massive emotional gut punch, well, you are going to absolutely love what we've mapped out today. We've combed through the source material for Chapter 1, and we're going to break down the essential characters, the wild political landscape, and the crazy inciting incident that kicks this whole epic off.
So here's the core puzzle we're looking at today. How exactly does a peaceful, humble, completely ordinary village suddenly become the epicenter of a brutal mystery? It's a massive contrast. We're going to start by looking at a vast world ruled by these untouchable kings with literal godlike abilities, and then we're going to zoom all the way down into the quiet, simple life of a 14-year-old boy. And as you'll see, we're going to watch those two totally different worlds violently collide.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the world of Aryavrata, kings and deities.
Before we meet our main character, we really need to understand the macro-level political landscape of this country, Aryavrata. Right at the very top of the food chain, you have an evil king named Riven. And King Riven is an absolute force of nature. Literally. He has been completely undefeated for the last 30 years. 30 years! And the secret to his iron grip on the country? He possesses the blessing of the Vayu deity, which is the god of wind. Having this supernatural blessing basically makes him invincible to anyone foolish enough to challenge his reign.
Now, right beneath King Riven's overarching rule, Aryavrata is actually split into two distinct regions. On one side, you've got Vyom Pradesh, ruled by a man named Prithvi, who holds the blessing of the earth god, and on the flip side is Nilavan, ruled by Samar, who is blessed by the water god. But here is the kicker, and this is super important. The common people of Aryavrata have absolutely no clue how Prithvi, Samar, or even King Riven actually got their powers. It's a closely guarded secret, a total mystery to the general public.
Moving right along to Section 2, a humble life in Jilrai Village. So, zooming all the way down into a quiet little corner of Vyom Pradesh, we meet a super tight-knit family of 4 living in Jilrai Village. The dad, Ishan, is a milk farmer, very honest, very humble. Then you have his wife, Adja, who is just an incredibly loving mother. And together they've got 2 boys. There's the older brother Veer, who's 17, and our main protagonist, the younger brother Advik, who's just 14 years old.
This family is pretty much the ultimate picture of the ordinary world. You know the trope. Their daily routine is structured, it's peaceful, it's just incredibly wholesome. The brothers, Veer and Advik, are basically inseparable. They are always playing cricket together. The family makes a huge point to eat all their meals together, and they sleep peacefully under the same roof. By all accounts, they are a very happy family, completely cut off from all that high-stakes magical politics going on in the capital.
All right, Section 3, Bedtime Stories and Lost Magic.
Even in a quiet village like Jilrai, the epic lore of the outside world still kind of trickles in. One night, Adyas telling Veer and Advik a bedtime story about the legend of the 5 deities, earth, water, fire, wind, and space. And she makes a very, very specific point to her sons. Out of all 5 of these divine entities, it's the space god that reigns supreme as the absolute most powerful deity of the whole bunch.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Adeha tells her boys, about a yuga ago, people knew how they can be blessed by a deity. Now, no one knows. This is absolutely crucial, guys. It highlights that this ancient magical knowledge has just completely vanished. And it perfectly explains why all the commoners are totally in the dark about how King Ravan or the regional rulers got their magic in the first place. The actual how-to of connecting with these deities is just lost to time.
Now, faced with this massive epic tale of supreme beings and magical blessings, little 14-year-old Advik just looks right at his mom and says, "I don't think there is any deity powerful than you." I mean, how sweet is that? It makes his mother laugh, and it really just showcases Advik's pure innocence and the deep, unconditional love he has for his family.
Which brings us to the turning point. Section 4, the tragic discovery.
Because of course, that warmth and innocence, it is definitely not going to last. The whole thing unravels incredibly fast, and it actually starts with something super mundane. One morning, the older brother, Veer, catches a fever. Since Veer is stuck in bed sick, Advik decides to go out in the afternoon to play cricket all by himself. It's literally the very first time we see him separated from his brother. And then, that evening, after he's done playing, Advik returns home to a scene that will forever change his life.
Advik walks through the door and finds an absolute nightmare. Both his honest father, Ishan, and his big brother, Veer, have been brutally murdered. Their bodies are just completely covered in blood. Obviously, Advik panics. He starts screaming for help, and the neighbors rush in. But as everyone is trying to process this horrific, gruesome scene, they realize another terrifying detail. Adya is missing. They search everywhere, the whole village, but no one can find Advik's mother anywhere.
So for 2 whole days, this deeply traumatized 14-year-old boy just sits there in immense, unimaginable sadness. He completely refuses to eat. The neighbors are constantly trying to step in, trying to calm him down, but he won't listen to anyone. And honestly, who could blame him? He is entirely consumed by the absolute shock of losing his dad and his brother, and the totally unexplained disappearance of his mom.
This leads us into Section 5, Arrival of the Stranger. The tension here is just palpable as we move into the 3rd day of Advik's mourning. He's sitting there, grieving, completely alone in the house, when suddenly, an unpredictable element enters his shattered life. Unannounced, out of nowhere, a mysterious man simply arrives right at his front door.
And the source material gives us a very specific, kind of weird visual description of this guy. He's a mysterious man characterized by very big hair, and he's wearing a white dhoti. That's it. He just appears, no warning, at the home of a grieving boy whose family was just slaughtered and abducted in a world secretly ruled by divine magical blessings.
Which leaves us staring at a massive, glaring question. Who on earth is this stranger with the big hair, and what does his arrival mean for Advik's tragic destiny? Is he somehow connected to the evil king Riven? Does he know the lost secrets of the 5 deities? Or does he know what actually happened to Advik's mother? That is exactly where our explainer for Chapter 1 wraps up. But wow, this masterfully constructed mystery is clearly only just beginning. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will definitely see you next time as we continue to unpack the wild world of Tapasya.